These 10 DIY Christmas gifts are so fun to make and you're gonna love to give them away. Hey everyone, it's Christina from the DIYmommy.com. With Christmas only a month away, it's such a good time to get going on those handmade Christmas gifts. These 10 ideas are some of my most favorite things that I've ever made. I feel like they take some thought and a little bit of time to put together, so any recipient of these gifts is gonna see all the time and love you put into these and really appreciate them. There's a clear standout favorite in this list that I really love. It's my absolute favorite this year. I'm not gonna tell you, so let me know what you think my favorite is in the comments below. And I'd also love to know which of these gifts is your favorite, which one you're gonna make, and which one you're gonna give to your friends or family this year. All right, so let's get crafting.
Let's begin by making a beautiful personalized gift out of Fimo Leather Effect clay. Now, they sponsored one of my Instagram posts. They did not sponsor this video, but I love this clay. It is so amazing. It's polymer clay and you bake it in the oven. So I'm taking some of their red color and dividing one piece in half and rolling it out to be about 1/4 inch thick in a circle shape. With this clay, you can pull at it a little bit and then it gets a sort of leather texture. Next, take a drinking glass and stamp a round shape into the clay and then take a razor blade and cut out the circle. You can do this with the second piece as well and make 2 of these personalized ornaments. Then you can take your fingers and kind of pat down the outside of the shapes to make them nice and smooth. Now, I grabbed this stamp set on Amazon. I will leave a link to it down in the description box below. This would be so awesome for cookies and other DIYs. And you can just spell out any words you'd like. What I'm doing here is I'm taking my last name and my maiden last name for my parents as a gift, putting family underneath, and then the year 2020. So these can be personalized ornaments for this year. You can just place all of the letters on this little stamp tool and then stamp the words right into the ornaments. Now you can take a tiny little round cutter and cut a little hole in the top of each of these, and then you pop them in the oven at about 260 degrees Fahrenheit or 275 degrees Fahrenheit if you don't have convection, and bake them for about 30 minutes. After they're baked, they're going to be a little bit pliable and you can take a sander and sand all the edges nice and smooth. Next, take some gold metallic acrylic paint and go ahead and fill in those stamped areas. Then you can wipe the excess off with a damp rag and you kind of have this embossed look. Take some more of that gold acrylic paint and paint around the edge of the ornament just like this. Now, once everything is dry, as a finishing touch, you can take some beautiful gold ribbon and tie it in that little hole in the top of the ornament and create a bow on top. I think these are such lovely gifts. They would be beautiful on top of presents or on a tree this year, and such a beautiful way to personalize something for a family or a friend. For this next DIY, we're going to make a really sweet little candle. I'm using some beeswax from my beekeeping neighbor, and I'm kind of doing a DIY boiler system here and melting it down. Next, take a container with a bamboo lid just like this. I found this one at Dollarama, the dollar store here in Canada. You'll also need one of these cotton wicks. Once the beeswax is melted, you can set the cotton wick into the middle of that dollar store container and pour the wax inside. While the wax is cooling, you can take some bottle brush trees and glue gun them to the top of that bamboo lid. You might remember I made these colorful beaded trees in one of my previous videos this year. I will link to that in the description box below. I took some natural colored trees from Amazon and dyed them with clothing dye and then just added these wooden beads. This is so cute. I saw a candle similar to this on Anthropology for quite a bit of money, and I just love how this one turned out. Once the candle is completely dry, you can trim the wick off and then place that adorable little top on the candle. This would be a sweet gift for so many people. I love that when you take the topper off, it's like its own little decoration right beside the candle. You could add scents to the beeswax, but I love it just as is. This next one, we're going to make a DIY simmer pot kit. This would also make a great gift for so many people. Take an apple and slice it up into about 1/8 inch thick slices, and you can sprinkle some cinnamon on top of that. You're going to pop these in the oven to dehydrate, and you can also chop up some orange slices as well, put them in the oven too. You're only going to want to put your oven at about 175. Bake these for 1 hour, flip them over and bake them for another hour until all of your apple and orange slices are completely dehydrated. They're going to look something like this. Now take a mason jar. I collect these pasta jars because I love the gold lids, and you're going to place about 6 of the apple slices inside, about 6 of the dehydrated orange slices. Next, you're going to add about a tablespoon of dried cloves and 1 cinnamon stick. I found these little clippings from my spruce trees outside and added those as well, along with a handful of dried cranberries. You can also add about half of a vanilla bean in here as well. Then you can close it up and attach a DIY gift tag. These are a free printable on my blog. I'll leave the link below. And I also have a little tag that gives the instructions to the recipient on how they can use this simmer pot mix. I think this looks so pretty, and here is how your recipient's going to use it. Boil a pan of water on the stove, and then you can just dump the contents of this simmer kit right inside the pan and simmer it on your stove. It's going to make your home smell so amazing, and it's going to be such a fabulous gift. Let's do another polymer clay DIY. This time I'm using this turquoise Fimo leather effect clay. I'm going to roll it out so I can cut a square that's about 4 inches by 4 inches. You're going to want to make sure your clay is only about 1/8 inch thick, and you can kind of pull it to create that leather look as well. I'll make sure to leave a link to this clay in the description box below. Cut it into 2 rectangles that are about 2 inches high and about 4 to 5 inches wide. Bake it in the oven at 260 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. Once the clay is completely baked, it's going to have this leather-like texture, and then you can cut a little fringe out of the whole thing, leaving about a 1/2 inch at the top of your clay piece and making each fringe about 1/4 inch wide. Next, cut a couple of the fringes off at the end. You're going to be folding these in half to create loops for the top of these. We're going to make some adorable tassel earrings. I also cut this fringe piece in half so that these earrings weren't so wide. You can place some crazy glue on the top part of the earring like I'm doing here, loop around that little piece that you cut off, and then start rolling everything together to create a tassel. These would also make really sweet little keychains if you wanted to give them away as that, but I'm going to make a pair of these and make them into earrings. Next, you're going to want your earring finding, so I'm grabbing this hook as well as a little jump ring. Attach the earring hook to the jump ring and then attach the jump ring to that little loop you created with the clay. Make a couple of these and they would make a really fantastic gift for someone who loves tassels and loves fashion. I love how these ones turned out. All right, now we're gonna make a DIY gingerbread flavored coffee syrup. So for this recipe, what you need is 2/3 cup maple syrup, 1 tablespoon molasses, and 1 tablespoon pumpkin spice mix. You can make your own pumpkin spice mix by combining 3 tablespoons cinnamon, 2 teaspoons ground ginger, 2 teaspoons ground nutmeg, 1.5 teaspoons of ground allspice, and 1/2 teaspoon of cloves. You can also add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and then you just mix this all up in a little mason jar. You can finish it off by tying a bow around it, and you can add a little gift tag. This would be so sweet to give with a DIY mug. I made this one with my Cricut, or you could just gift it as is for that coffee lover in your life. Now we're going to make a beautiful little zippered pouch. I love making these. They're actually really quick to make. You're going to need a zipper that's 9 inches long. I just buy bulk zipper and cut mine. And then 4 pieces of fabric that are 9 inches wide by 7 inches high. You're going to need 2 pieces for your outside of your pouch and 2 pieces for the lining. You're going to want to make sure you sew a little bit on the end of your zipper if it doesn't have its own stopper like I'm doing here. Next, take your zipper and attach it right sides together to one of the outer pieces of fabric. Then you're going to sew that zipper along the top piece of that fabric. Make sure you backstitch at the beginning and the end to make sure the zipper stays put. Now you're going to take another exterior piece of fabric and you're going to pin that and then sew it to the zipper, again right sides together and backstitching at the beginning and the end of your seam. So now you have a piece that looks like this. Turn that upside down so the interior is facing up. Now you're going to take one of your lining pieces. You're going to flip it upside down just like this. And you're going to sew it to one of the sides of the zipper just like this. Because when you flip it over to the right side, you're going to see that the lining is going to show once you open this sweet little zippered pouch. Again, just using a regular sewing machine, backstitching at the front and the end of your seam. I just move my zipper kind of back and forth so I'm able to use my regular presser foot, but you can definitely use a zipper foot for this as well. So now your lining is going to look like this. Take your second piece of lining, flip it upside down once again, and you're going to pin it to this side of the zipper here and sew that in place. Now you have a piece that looks like this. Now take all of the right sides and place them together so the right side of your exterior piece is together and the right sides of your lining is together. Sew all the way around but leave a 2-inch opening. So for this whole project, I'm using about a 1 centimeter seam allowance, but definitely use whatever seam allowance you'd like for this. When I sew over my zipper, I usually hand crank my sewing machine just to make sure that I don't break my needle on the zipper. I love these golden zippers. I have rose gold ones like this too. I found them on Amazon and I'll make sure to leave the link to them down in that description box below. Once you've sewn around the perimeter of your bag, you can clip the corners and then turn the whole thing right side out through that hole that you left in the lining. So now your zippered pouch looks like this. Pull the lining up and then use a needle and thread to hand stitch that hole shut. I just tie a little knot in my thread and then sew it just like this. Make sure to tie a couple knots at the end so that your little stitch is nice and secure. Now to give this, you could fill it with all sorts of little goodies for Christmas. It would be a fantastic stocking stuffer. You could place baked goods inside. There's so many things you could do with this. It is such a beautiful gift that your recipient can use again and again. Now we're going to make another fun polymer clay DIY. This one's a beautiful key holder or a jewelry holder, so it would work great for a lot of different people on your list. Roll out a piece of polymer clay that is about 8 inches by 8 inches, and then you're going to use a ruler and a razor to cut that into a nice square. You can make this square truly anything from about 7 inches to 9 inches, depending on how large you want your little tray to be. I'm using the Fimo Leather Effect clay again for this, and I'm baking it in the oven at about 260 degrees Fahrenheit for half an hour. You can see when it comes out, it's really pliable and it looks like leather. Now take a nice thick needle and some wax thread and sew some little stitches just like this in the corners. You're going to be sewing about 1 inch from each corner and about 1/4 down from the edge of the clay. I'm doing about 3 or 4 stitches here, and then once you finish doing the 3 or 4 stitches, you can trim off that wax thread and tie it into a nice square knot. You're going to be repeating this for all the rest of the 3 sides. And then your square is going to turn into a nice little holder or a tray shape. I love using this for jewelry. Again, it would also be fantastic for keys, so it would work for so many people on your holiday gift list this year. Now we're going to make some adorable bath bombs. For this, you're going to combine a 1/4 cup Epsom salts, a 1/4 cup cornstarch, a 1/4 cup of citric acid, 1/2 cup of baking soda, and then you're going to add a little bit of color. I found this color on Amazon. I'm going to put a bit of purple in here, and then 5 drops of essential oil. I'm using lavender, 1 tablespoon of fractionated coconut oil, and then about a tablespoon of water. Mix this all up so it has a nice consistency. Essentially, you want it to get to the point where if you squeeze it, this kind of sandy consistency stays together. If it doesn't, just add a little bit more coconut oil. Now you can take a mold. I found this one at the dollar store, I believe. Sprinkle some lavender buds inside and then place that mixture in. So my little recipe here made about 4 of these heart-shaped bath bombs. Next, you're going to want to make sure that you dry this mixture for about 1 day. You could also dry it in the oven at about 175 degrees Fahrenheit for about an hour and remove the bath bombs from the molds, and they're all done. You can wrap these up and give them as a gift or a stocking stuffer, and they smell so good. Now we're going to make a beautiful marbled mug. So take some water and some nail polish, a couple of your favorite colors, and just kind of sprinkle the nail polish randomly inside of that tub of water. So I'm sprinkling some pink and then also my favorite color, which is teal. You can grab a mug from the dollar store and just use an old paintbrush or something that you don't want to reuse and swirl that mixture around. Swirl your mug inside of the mixture, and when you pull it out, you're going to see this beautiful marble design. You can seal everything with a nice coat of Mod Podge, and that way this is going to be a lot easier to wash. I really love how this one turned out, and to package it, you could tie some ribbon around it, you can tie a cute little bow on the handle, and then inside the mug you could add chocolates, you could add your favorite coffee beans, or why not grab one of your favorite Christmas ornaments and pop it inside. Such a sweet gift and so easy to make. Now we're gonna do the final gift here, and I've been wanting to make this for a long time since I saw it on TikTok. We're gonna melt some chocolate chips in my double boiler, my DIY double boiler. So I'm melting about 2 cups of these milk chocolate chips until they have this consistency. We're gonna make these amazing cocoa bombs. I found these molds on Amazon. Again, I'll link them below, and you can place about 2 tablespoons of melted chocolate inside of each of these molds and just kind of smooth it onto the inside of the mold so it goes all the way up the side of each of these dome shapes. Now you're going to want to place this in the freezer. I just stuck mine outside in the snow, true Canadian style, until the chocolate is hardened. Take the little chocolate domes outside of the molds, and now you're going to want to place about 2 tablespoons of hot chocolate mix into half of these shapes and about 1 tablespoon of dehydrated marshmallows. I'll leave a link for these down in the description below. Then the other half of the shapes, take them and just melt the bottom edge of them in a warm saucepan. And then you can attach them to the bottom shapes, and the melting should help them stay together. This is optional. You can melt some more chocolate in a contrasting color. So I'm just melting semi-sweet chocolate and drizzling that on top. Just don't be like me and drizzle a big blob, which creates this hole here. Don't do that. You can also sprinkle some crushed candy canes on top. Now watch how these work. Pour very hot milk on top of these cocoa bombs inside a mug, and the cocoa bomb should essentially explode and release the hot chocolate mixture and all of the marshmallows. It is such a fun gift. I made these ones for my daughters and they loved them. You could package these up and cellophane them, and they would be such a fun gift for a neighbor or a friend this year.
Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope you enjoyed these 10 Christmas gift ideas. Let me know down in the comments below which one you think was my favorite, and also which one is your favorite and which one you're gonna try to make. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more DIY and decor ideas on a budget. I'm gonna leave another video where I share some dollar store inspired gift baskets. I personalize them with my Cricut, but you don't have to do that if you don't have a Cricut. I'm gonna leave that video right here, and then I'm gonna leave a whole playlist of gift ideas for you to watch next right down here.